Welcome to the Pop-Up Research Station, where we explore temporary public art, creative placemaking, and cultural urban planning by having conversations with the artists and arts organizers in the gallery. We offer valuable insights and solutions for programming by presenting case studies from real-time projects that benefit the arts community. Our cafes serve as a data collection session, allowing for the review and application of findings in future projects, ultimately leading to improved outcomes. Thank you for joining us.
Um, for Bill to join us. I'm Alpha Bruton. I'm working with William Hill on the Hazel Crest project. I'm helping to assist as a consultant and project manager, as well as one of the artists on the team.
Amazing.
And
Nice to meet you.
yeah, so Bill has introduced you to, I think this is, yeah, there's Bill right
Yeah.
now. So,
How are you, Austin Alpha?
hey,
And
Hi, Bill. How's it going?
pretty good. Just trying to get settled here. Um, good.
yeah, we were just making an informal introduction, just telling him my name and, working with you. And we're waiting for you to come on. Liza's in the middle of finishing up a project and she's our tech support and she'll be on in about 10 or 15 minutes. But yeah. So Bill is excited about introducing you, to the project. So I'm going to let Bill take over.
Yeah, I think Austin and I met maybe it could have been 5 or 6 years ago. When I had with the he talked with me about um, I guess displaying or connecting with galleries in the Chicago area, and so that's how we made our conversation. But I admired his work over the years, and I'm just happy to hear that he's continuing to produce wonderful works.
Okay, great. And so Marilyn is joining us. Before we get into inviting Austin to do a presentation and talk about his work, I think we saw his sculptures last week, right?
I believe so. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello.
How are you doing, Marilyn?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Good, good. So I was gonna, before we get started, going to, the menu is, I did do the report and I sent it out as a draft last night. I put a PowerPoint together for presentation that I thought we were gonna do today or tonight. But we put, Mr. Sawyer wants us to, he talked to Bill and for us to present next month with Board of Trustees. So that gives us time to kind of shape it a little, the report and the PowerPoint a little bit better. And then he also asked for now I have a draft of the budget for 26, 27, but not the scope of services because we don't have all the artists on board. And then Austin is a new artist that Bill is recommending into the project if he's interested. And he was going to introduce himself today. So I'm going to pull up those three things for us to go over. I'll save the budget for after Austin. Am I saying your name right, Austin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So give me a minute to pull this stuff up. Any updates you all want to share while I'm pulling that up?
Let me just ask Alpha, did you get our last beautification commission agenda?
No, I didn't. I only got the one when Bill and I came out there. I didn't get January's. Actually,
February?
February's. No, I didn't get
Yeah.
February's. You
Okay,
have
I
it?
will. I do.
Can you forward it to me?
I will.
Okay, great. So what is it covering?
It's covering the events that we're having throughout the rest of the year.
Okay.
And of course, they can be tweaked
Mhm.
and added to. But currently, I know we were talking about Bill's outdoor landscape photography
Mhm.
workshop. And we have that scheduled on here as well as April the 25th, which is the Arbor Day, Earth Day celebration, art unveiling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, Maryland Alpha, I talked with Dante last night, and he mentioned a fundraiser as a source of revenue. Uh,
Yeah.
and then I said, well, I have ideas that I'm growing. I have a hydroponic or indoor garden where I plant seedlings. So I said maybe we could offer that as a part of the fundraising event, but maybe we need to talk uh, more on that so we can come up with a plan, or how do we, would address that.
I think
Well, go ahead, Alpha.
I was like, some of it could be done through grant, for me to do more aggressive grant writing to match if we're talking about fundraising, and then that's my input.
And just to address that also, Bill, when you say hydroponics, I'm very familiar with that, and that's really an exciting technology. However, that would mean that we would have to come to your location.
Well, not necessarily. I'm doing a combination of planting indoors. So, I have a lot of seedlings that are growing from pods, seed starting soil.
Okay.
I have a wide selection, so we can sit down and plan, what we would like to present for this fundraiser, what type of plants will uh, display that would either be for sale or donations.
Yeah, we will sit down and discuss that as well because I had just written down our first um, fundraiser that we've had was a plant sale. And it was a lot of fun and it was somewhat successful. It didn't bring us in millions, of course, but uh, we were able to establish from that point on. So we can table that.
Yeah, and your knowledge is very valuable because having the first plant sale as a fundraiser, I've got to talk to you about that and how that
Mhm.
would work.
Okay.
All right, I got this document pulled up, and these are good conversations to have. But we want to, so no, Bill, you have to go teach your class and stuff too, right?
Uh, too.
Okay, great. So here
Yeah.
is just the cover. I'm going to keep with the branding that kind of we came up with, but this is the status and update report prepared for. I rearranged the order, corrected Marilyn's title, um, and then Bill as project manager. I prepared it for you three. This is what I sent yesterday. Um, these are the scope of services and the goals that we had for the placemaking project. One, uh, our project was highly, I think all of the community engagement activities that we had on the August 9th, which was two of them, and I know Carl wants to separate these days out so that we're not like, in the morning and evening, and that's something we can discuss. And then the third engagement was on October 4th. Associated deliverables completed, 2 sculptures installed, photographs of activities provided by the Village of Hazel Crest. And then this is a link that'll take us right to Carl's images. So all you do is like this and touch the link, click, and it takes us to his report. And this will be where everyone that gets this, if you click, it'll just go into the images of the day. And Carl did And the guy that had the drone, I think, did a really good on capturing uh, images for us of the day.
Okay.
So this is part of the report, and all you do is click that button and go right into it.
Okay.
And it has all of the documentation. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
And so,
I'm sorry, Alpha, for cutting you
mhm.
off. However, Carl is still talking about getting a website. So is this something
Yes, of
that,
course.
oh,
This is
great.
something that the links can be on the
Okay.
website. And if Carl needs help with that, I do, as a service, I'm manage the Bronzeville Art District website. So let me get back
Okay.
to where we were to the document.
Yes.
This is just a
Thank
minute.
you.
Stop sharing. I'll start over because hmm. So I guess.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I think he did a good job on all of the images. You can look at them like here on the grid, and then all of the links are active on the report, and all you have to do is click them and then go down. But we did
Okay.
gather a lot of information.
This is the park where the sculpture would be.
Yes, and I'm going to show you a little bit more as soon as I get back into the document. That's crazy.
Hmm.
Um,
I have a question.
yes,
So for the RFQ, are you expecting a rendering or concept?
yes.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. For the RFQ, you're going to send in the number of JPEGs showing your past work and then what you're thinking about after you come out and do a site visit. Most artists, because we're talking site specific, and unless we have a conversation that changes into acquisition. But right now, we're working with artists that are doing and proposing site specific installation.
Site specific. So I can for my proposal, I can create a sketch of the already made or design that I want to fabricate.
Yes.
Okay. And is there a budget for that?
You will get to that in a
Okay.
sec. But you can present as high as you want, but we're probably going to stay under a 10,000 mark, 9,000 cap out there, and so we'll go through that in a few. So anyway, here, the following activities were completed August 9th, which was the community engagement workshop. We had what is it, three community engagements or four community engagements that we said that we would do in our scope of services. And what our intent was on August 9th was to bring out, the Beautification Open Lands Commissioners, the Board of Trustees, and participants from the neighborhood and the community. And then we had 5 youth from the Whiz Kids that came from Falsmore and different suburban areas and a total of 12 adults participated in the Mandela Build. We really want to get those numbers up, but the intent was to start a dialogue and conversation and get people, coming out to the Art in the Woods at, open lands, and kind of a lot of them haven't ever been out there before. So here this aim to attract again the first time visitors to open land, to explore native plants with guided tours and incorporate these into the Mandela symbols design. So this is another video that can be clicked onto Maryland, and it takes you to the short video that we, got of Carol talking to you all on the day of. And
Okay.
again, you click, it goes right in. And she will be installing listening to the wind chimes, in April.
Yes.
So this is like the update that, that Bill will be presenting to the Board of Trustees. Moonlight Social held on August 9th. That was successful. What I did here is note, because we really want to look and focus on artists in the communities that are in South Cook County. And so we did bring Reggie Nicholson from New York City in, who played percussion, Ed House from Chicago, and saxophone, and Yosef Ben Israel, resident of Markham, on base. So we did have, someone from the community on that performing group. I took a look at our social media read, and this is without even aggregating anything. Our social media, we had 528 visitors that visited one of the videos. And it
Okay.
peaked August 31st. So that's quite a bit. If we really get that social media together, your reach will be better. And I put
Okay.
that out on my Phantom Gallery blog that I write, and I blogged about it, put a video link in, and this is the number of visitors that we got to take a look at that between August 9th and August 31st.
Oh, that's great.
And these are the documentation links that'll take you straight. Again, you'll click it and it'll go to to the performance.
Okay.
Laughing because I was trying to get exactly what we did, because our proposal was really strong on community engagement, is what the village was looking at. And this is for Austin too, other than having folks just come out and we could just install sculptures all day, from artists that we know, and that come and are interested, but we want to make it so that the community is involved, because a big chunk of our project is community engagement and getting folks out there, other than just popping up and doing the art and not have a buy-in to the community. So Oaks and Folks Gala, these are the deliverables. Christine installed her project, Hazel Arch on the 29th, and the dedication was October 4th. Peter installed Cloudburst on October 1st. Dedicated on the 4th. The Public Works Department completed the installation of a concrete pad on September 27th. Sense to Soul School of Music, community music programming. So again, our focus was on bringing people that live and work and play in Hazel Crest. And so our impact, I went to the Village of Hazel Crest admin page, and under Open Lands, you only had 17 views of that video, which is an excellent video that was recorded and, as part of documentation. The YouTube channel from Pop-Up Research Station, we had 48 views on our featured video. Again, the Blogspot, Phantom Gallery, where I post things, 765 views. We got 527 from Oaks and Folks, and the Mandela, we got 238 views, and that was July 24th. We got 2 newspaper articles, Oaks and Folks Growing Together in Hazel Crest, and this was from Spring Grove Nursery, wrote about it, and I found Taylor Media, South Suburban News, and the Beautification Commission Open Lands Arboretum was in that publication. Again, you can click this and it'll take you to their sites. What does a successful place look like? And so this is some of the things that we were looking at under placemaking. These are some of the response and guided questions that were given. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but these are some of the responses that I recorded that were written down, throughout those 2 different community engagements. So we had those like 43 responses. And then this little video, you click again, and it'll take you back to our YouTube page. And that's when I had the Pop-Up Research Station walking around and doing videos. And so those responses are on public, on our public platform. And here are 3 other videos that are linked to the Arboretum as well. And those are part of the Pop-Up Research Station when Danny was out there as a young reporter or investigator asking questions. And so these are things, again, to consider in access and linkage, and how to evaluate space and identity issues. And so these are questions that we all can answer and update this. These are just my responses when we're out there. Correct me if, I'm wrong on some of these. But so anyway, I try to be a little bit thorough. Again, there's other things that you can add your comments on, but that's what I got from there. So
well, that's exciting. Great job, Alpha. Really great job.
And this is for you all, so that when we do outreach, you can communicate with folks that came and give them another invitation. Because last year we were like, how do we, you know what I mean? We could send emails out. How do people RSVP? We went through those things, but I also noted the cities the people were from and where they were coming from. How many came to Hazel Crest?
Mm-hmm.
These are things that your committee can do when they're at that VIP. I call
Mm-hmm.
it having press kits there. When they sign
Mm-hmm.
in, this is important information to glean from, visitors so we know who's coming
Yeah.
and who's
Okay.
out there. If they want to continue doing our programming, they want to get in touch with us. It's important that someone is always at that table collecting data and not just sitting there being a part of the program as if the committee.
All right.
So anyway, I'm going to chastise you on this, but you know what I'm saying? When you
Yeah, I
appoint
know.
someone, they have to do their job because we have to collect this data, quantitative data so that we can let, the trustees know, hey, this is what we did. This is the people that are coming, these, like that. So we had a
I
total
was
of
going to say,
83.
Alpha, this is a great assessment of our program for the first year.
Yeah. And this,
Very,
I
very well.
thank you. So that's all the stuff that we've been collecting. So I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint that I was working on to show you that real quick because again, we can tweak it. I was looking at you know, that deadline of today, to get this stuff done. So I was working on it this weekend. Let's see here. We're not going to record this, but I'm going to pull it up so that we can see it on the screen. Slideshow. So again, I'm sticking with the
Okay, that's
branding.
fine. Mm-hmm. I like that backdrop. Great.
Okay, great. And I try to put this is the information that proposed placemaking projects. I guess I just kind of explained that we're incorporating elements that highlight the area's stunning natural beauty, culture, heritage, and shared values. And then here, the designs will take inspiration from the vibrant floral and fauna of the region and significant historical and cultural narratives that resonate with the residents. The following activities, this is what I just kind of went over in our report. The impact. This is a video. Again, they'll be able to click it and it'll go right into share. A little bit about the workshop. And this is August 9th.
Oh, that was so much fun.
I thought so.
I have a question.
And
When
yes,
is it
sir.
when is this expected to be finished? The final install? Is there unveiling?
Yeah, for you, it would be next year, next fall, because of 2026 or however you propose it and how long it'll take you to construct, get an
Okay.
approval, and we'll go over those details. I know you rushed and you're excited, Austin. And then so again, social media information, links again that, folks can go to. Um, and then here at Oaks and Folks, what we did out there. What we did, Austin, we combined the Oaks and Folks Gala with the tree planting every year from the nursery. The village gets a tree and then it's dedicated. This past year, we combined the sculpture dedications with Oaks and Folks to make it a gala and make it, a larger event. And
Mhm.
this, we got our numbers, I know, because the village jumped in and started helping with social media. We handed actual RSVP invitations. And so we did all the kind of marketing that we needed to do to get folks out.
Okay. So there is going to be an unveiling then.
Yes, it's we always want to make sure we unveil and do a dedication and make a big deal out of the acquisition of a artist sculpture. So
What
this
are
is,
typically the materials that people have worked in? I'm seeing that
can you see the screen? Yeah. So here,
this is carved
this
wood.
is carved wood.
Okay.
It's an element of part two of the gathering space. Right here is a bench that Christine will be contracted to do this this year. And she already did this one here at the top right there. She's a wood carver, and she
Okay.
carved this, from some of the wood that's actually there in Hazel Crest, like that. So this
So
is
for
the
me, since I work in bronze, um, usually for something that's outdoor, what are the sizes typically for the sculptures?
So right here, we're going to finish this slide presentation, and then we'll get into the details of that RFQ and answer your questions. So I'd like for you to present your work and yourself as an artist before we start getting into
Yes,
the
ma'am.
details and,
And
getting into
you
the
like me to do
weeds of the
that?
project.
Would you like me
In a
to do that
few. Yeah, in a
in this
few. I'm
meeting
almost finished.
or
Yes.
okay. Yes, ma'am.
Installation day, this is Christine, because this is what we're supposed to present in our meeting so that we can approach the village with our next round of funding. So this is just showing the engagement piece of the committee that came out that day, and the like kind of collaborating and working with Public Works will be on hand to help Austin, since you're asking those questions, to help with the installation of these sculptures.
Wonderful.
So they're professionally installed. This is Christine and her husband. They're a team, and they came out to install this piece right here.
Do they
And then
are
this
they
is
I'm sorry, are they hired by the committee or
no,
is
they're
that a part
not.
of the budget?
That's part of your budget for what each artist has to, from the beginning to the installation. Their quote should encompass what it's going to take them to install their piece. The Public Works team came out, and a call person right here with Public Works, and this is Peter Gray. He's a metalsmith. Um, Carl with Public Works is responsible for the pedestal, that concrete pedestal that the sculptures are on, and everything else is the artist needs to deliver and do the installation. You are contracted out, but it's not extra. It's all should be part of the written budget. This is Mr. Lewis. We'll work with him. He's the director of Public Works, and Carl is on the beautification committee and is part of Public Works and is one of the I would say open lands, he's on the beautification committee. He's been here for 15, 20, 25 years.
Oh, longer
Grooming.
than that.
Okay, 35 years grooming and working out there. Here's the installation day, and so on our timeline, we have 2 installations. I know they're talking about spreading them out, but I think that's a bit much. And then the money that it'll take to hold these dedications. So we have one in the fall and one in the spring. And the artists need to work on that timeline so that their work is finished and can be dedicated in a timely manner. So this is the cloudburst, and it's 12 feet high, width is 6 feet, and then the concrete base is a slab that measures 48 inches by 48 inches. So if you're proposing a sculpture, consider how you're going to get it installed and the height of the concrete base and, the steel and whatever you need to for safety and so that it's not like stolen off that pedestal. This is what we did during another community engagement. We have about 12 people that came out. It was right before a storm was coming in. So I just like the setup, everything was set up and ready to go, but it was freezing cold. So this is another like hands-on project. And it was part of the tree identification tour. And then we collected leaves and like that. And then join the Beautification Commission as we celebrate Arbor Day. I didn't put too many details because I don't really have them, but Saturday, April 26th from 10 to 2, I put for, Arbor Day, and I will make an invitation to go to the Board of Trustees and committees, inviting them out for that day. And then we still have to talk and plan the activities for that day beyond the tree and installations. Okay. And then Bill has and he's going to give me a better slide. I thought I put it in this one. No, I didn't. I updated this one. So this is the wrong one, Bill. I have another image over here of your work. But here are the 3 dates of your workshop. that when we do this presentation in front of the trustees, then you'll give them the information and you'll have your flyers ready to pass out for this. And then dedication of the wind chimes. This will be for Arbor Day. And then I'll have my chair installed, hopefully in this location that I chose with that service road going down to the apartments. And that'll be a step, because there's 2 areas that we're doing sculpture, and each artist finds the space that calls their name. And you feel like your piece will be really good in that area. So I thought mine would be good facing the service road, because the next part of the project is across the street, where there's another part of open lands that they were looking at having work installed.
Mhm.
All right, and so that's the end of that presentation. And so questions.
Well, first of all, let me thank Austin for having an interest and joining in on what we are achieving in the Open Lands Beautification Commission. I'm glad to meet you. I'll be excited to see you in person and to also show you what we have out in the open lands so you can see the space, enjoy the space, and even select where you would like to put your artwork.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. And it's nice to meet you as well. And I'm looking forward to meeting you too.
Oh, great.
Just to tell you, and Alpha a little bit more about me, and
Mhm.
Bill for that matter. I am a sculptor from Detroit, Michigan. I've been sculpting for 13 years now. I'm mostly self-taught. I couldn't afford art school, but I really, really wanted to be an artist. And I think
Okay.
it was really important for me to um, believe in myself, even when there was no kind of guarantee that I could ever really become an artist. But I've had a lot of support along the years, and a lot of people believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself.
Mhm.
I started off making sculptures for art fairs, just locally, and selling them for whatever I could, sometimes $25 for a sculpture I worked months on. And I think what was most important for me was the fact that it gave me a sense of purpose. So even though I didn't have a lot of results at first, and people kind of, even my friends, classmates, and some of my teammates in certain sports, they thought it was weird that I wanted to be an artist. But I felt like it was so important for me to develop a craft, and I feel like for every person, it's really important to master something in their life. So I've been developing a lot of sculptures depicting um, Greco-Roman, classical, contemporary African artifact. So my sculptures are designed to feel like a very ancient, intimate experience when someone comes into um, an encounter with it. And what I want to say with my artwork is the importance of really defining our culture and our values. And my values
Mhm.
are craftsmanship,
Mhm.
attention to detail, um, the execution of a contemporary narrative. So that's why you see a lot of the figures, the smaller figures coming outside of the hair and stuff
Mhm.
like that. Because for me, I really am inspired by African masks of the Senufu people in Cote d'Ivoire. And when they have in those masks, when they have certain imagery where there's figures on top of the mask, I think that's really important to reference um, imagery like that in contemporary artwork. So those are the values that I have with my work, and it creates this really interesting narrative. I like to go look at a sculpture and be kind of not only inspired, but I want I want to feel something. I want it to engage the viewer. So I try and have small details that
Mm-hmm.
make you have to go closer to it. And makes you wonder why would this artist do this? And it's supposed to be provocative, a little bit shocking, but I think what's most important is um, making sure that people after me, once I'm gone, making sure they know how much we care about artwork and we care about what they see. And that's been my goal with a lot of these pieces. For me to do a bronze sculpture, typically it usually costs me upwards of 20 to 30,000 just to produce the materials. Just for my granite bases alone, they can cost me up to, I mean, it can cost me up to $10,000. My studio is probably usually around my overhead for just my studio materials is roughly 5 to 6 thousand a month, something like that. Um, and the way I've got to this level is by usually making pieces not in bronze but in ceramics. So like what you're looking at right now, my piece called Mawata, that's a piece that um, was made in terracotta because I usually for a sculptor to even become a sculptor, they have to usually cast their sculptures, which means that they have to make a mold, a rubber mold or a plaster mold of the sculpture, and then they have to make a breakaway mold, or they have to cast that in wax, and then they have to do a bronze casting, which can be upwards of $10,000 just for one piece that's 28 inches tall. So for all of these that you're seeing, they're all ceramic sculptures, which means that I had to hollow out each of the sculptures to about to a depth of probably less than an inch, which means I have to cut the sculptures in certain places just so that they can be fired in a kiln or else they'll explode in the kiln. And that's just the science of ceramics. And then what you're looking at right now are my bronze sculptures. They typically um, they're typically made with organizations, committees. I've made about 8 so far, I think, 8 monuments. That's a sculpture I made for the Eastern State Tennessee University for the first 5 Black students to desegregate the school. I got to meet them in October and I did an unveiling with them and they were telling me their stories. I got to hear what they went through when they were going to, I thought I had it hard going to an all white school, but I could never imagine the type of things that they endured. And just the fact that they were there and they were able to see themselves honored was a really big moment for me.
How old are they now?
They are, there are 3 of them still alive, and they are about I'd say 70, around
No, they're
my grandmother's age.
They're in their 80s. No?
Yeah,
yeah,
80s, 80s, because my grandmother was born in 19, yeah, they would have gone in the 60s is when it would have been desegregated. So yes, they were about in their 20s during that time, so 80s. Um, and I was very fortunate to meet them and learn from them and just be able to shake their hands. It was that that's a very powerful moment for me. And it felt it felt very spiritual because I felt like I was a vessel to kind of bring that truth. I was only given about a year to create this, less than a year really, to create this sculpture. And um, it was a big moment for me. It was very inspiring, and um, I was really glad to be able to do that, and because I know that I have my own ideas, of course, but I feel like it's really important for me to be of service to my community, Oh yeah, that's a really good one. This is of my sculpture of Elizabeth Hamer. She was a runaway slave from Covington, Kentucky. She ran away while she was pregnant, and she settled in Royal Oak, Michigan, where they honored her with a park in her name. And I was able to be commissioned to create a sculpture. It was kind of hard getting the funds for that. I mean, it's so expensive to create these bronze sculptures. And if you are able to ever see a foundry, you really see why it's so expensive. And there's so much labor that goes into it. I've been fortunate enough to be able to learn a lot of the metalworking. And what I really like most about it of how beautiful a material like bronze is, because it lasts forever. Typically, it lasts for a very long time, thousands of years, and it pretty much supplants the person in history forever. And that's how you really give someone's legacy meaning. Because what's most important is that she was a real mother. I think of everybody. I think of a lot of women in my life as queen mothers because of what they had to endure just to just for us to be here.
To
So it was
survive.
really inspiring for me to create that sculpture. I put cowrie shells in the sculpture, which are bronze. I put them in the clay so that they would cast with the sculpture because I wanted I wanted her to still feel African. I wanted to give her identity back. It was so important for me to do that in just that small way. And I didn't even ask for permission to the city of Royal Oak. I just did it because it was so important. It's so important for us to know. It looks so small. It's like a very small detail for someone to notice when they get up close to the sculpture. But once they see it, they know how important it is. The small, intricate detail, how important it is in the sculpture. And
So
while
your symbolism with the cowrie shells, is that because I know they were used for, commerce? What were
yes,
they? Okay.
yes, they were used for commerce, and they were also used in especially masks from the Sinufu tribe. They were
Mhm.
used for, especially in the tribal masks, they were used to invoke certain spirits. There's a sculpture that I made that's a guardian spirit, and once the eyes are in the sculpture, it's a certain energy that is kind of in the work, and that's very it's African mythology, but I find it to be very important to do things like that in my work.
So I want to just ask, so how large, how tall is that uh
That one is heroic size because my bust typically, if I do a bust, it's gonna be a little bit 20% larger than life size, and I'd say this one is maybe 30%. Like you can see me next to the piece, and it's about maybe 30 to 40% larger than life size, so it can really have a heroic feel. So it's a lot. The scale is a little bit up. Um, and I think that typically works. That budget for that piece was 30,000. Um,
mm,
and it really helped because they also included a the cement foundation, which was
yeah,
really
yeah,
valuable. That they handled the installation. That
yeah.
all I really needed to do was to create the sculpture, which was very expensive, and then to create the sculpture base. I had that done with a fabricator that basically crafted out of granite, um,
Okay.
and that was really important for me to do.
Well, your
How
pieces
much
are
did that
fabulous.
run, the granite base run?
Typically it's around $5,000 to $7,000.
Well, your pieces are fabulous.
Here's another one I want to look through
Mhm.
his public, because I think that I really like the work, but I know that some of this work with the nudity is not going to work in the public space.
Yeah.
Um, that I saw. It's great for a private collection, but not good for like the art in the woods. What do you think, Bill?
Yeah, I agree. But, looking at the work, there's only
Mhm.
two words that I can describe: superb and just incredible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Very
How
I
you
impressive.
like the look at the height of this piece right here. This is the
Mhm.
clay piece, right? Terracotta.
No, that is
That.
oil-based clay, and this was a sculpture. If you scroll down, you can kind of see the finished one. But that was a
Hmm.
sculpture I made for the
Oh,
Eco Justice Initiative. They
okay.
commissioned me in 2024, right? No, 2000, yes, 2024. And they gave me a 7-month deadline basically to finish the clay for this sculpture. And what was really cool about this sculpture was that when I created it, um, I made a maquette, a small scale model years back that was owned by a basketball player. And they saw the picture of that maquette and asked me to make a life size version of it. Um, that's a budget of $250,000, and that's what I can do with 7 months. And it's really, I mean, this is what I really want to be doing, is creating large scale work like this. There's no better feeling. Now that given 7 months was really hard. I had to ask friends to help me. I was working every single day on it. And I think I was like the coolest like person in my city for that year. Because I was able to, I mean, there's no bigger joy than being able to reach your fullest potential. Um, that piece taught me a lot, and I've it really is raw because they only gave me 7 months to work on it. I mean, I that's not enough time to make a giant monument, but I I had to sculpt a Tuskegee Airman. I had a couple shows that I was working on. So I don't. They knew I was young, and they were like, "Okay, he can do he can do this." And what I really love about that piece is that it's just my idea. It wasn't someone telling me something to do.
Mhm.
Brian Stevenson never called me up, and I think he had a problem with the nudity, but I still kind of did it because the way I capture nudity is not, it's never in a derogatory way. It's always to be in a
Mhm.
classical way, or I might have it slightly veiled and like with like a thin line of drapery so that you can really see the anatomy. Because I feel like the more that you can see, the more details that are in the piece, make it feel more alive. And the texture that I use on the surfaces of the sculpture make it so that the nudity isn't depicted in a way that's overly detailed. So
Mhm.
just like if you
I
see,
don't think anybody on this call has a problem with that. We're both artists, you know what I mean? And
uh,
my degree is in, the nudes in sculpture, open studio, painting. That's all I saw was nudity in my undergraduate work. So we don't have a problem with that. I just know that, in public art, sometimes there's issues with
I agree.
acquisition. Okay. So,
I agree.
but
I
I
love that
like the way,
story in
yeah.
Chicago where they had that nude male sculpture outside of the institute, and there was that big backlash from the community, even though the sculpture was very beautiful.
Well, they had a problem with Harold Washington and well, it was just the content of him. They're looking like that.
Uh,
Remember that controversy that came out of Harold
Yeah.
Washington
Yeah.
when
I
at the Art Institute? So they were into, I
Mhm.
think art that's controversial, that,
Mhm.
provokes, the public interest. It's always a good thing to have conversations behind. But when we step into something with, asking the public to pay for it, then they're going to have their, objections, stuff
Right.
like that. So I'm
Mhm.
going to move on to the other. I like your installations. I
Mhm.
did look at your work
can you hear?
we visited this last time when I took a look at your work. But this is the first time I opened up your portfolio and saw the depth of your work.
Yeah, Austin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was, the durability of the actual bronze. Is there what below that in terms of duration that you would, in terms of materials?
The duration of the bronze?
Yeah, I mean, is there another quality that would be similar to bronze that's on a lower
With the
scale?
Yeah, with the budget that you told me, which is around 9 to 10,000, I really thought of some concrete ideas. And what I do feel I can do with a budget like that is to create a cement sculpture. With basically it has um, a metal armature, and then I would freehand sculpt the sculpture, which the durability can be pretty good. I think it can last. It might need a little bit of maintenance, but it can be just as lasting as any other sculpture. Um, but it would require more maintenance. That's why I feel like maybe getting additional funds is something that we could think about, because um, just to think about that, because if you would like a bronze sculpture, that's the best quality material. But I can do a cement sculpture where I can create a sculpture that is in cement or concrete, and that can definitely be done. Um, and I could do something with the size of the What I was thinking of was sculpture the size of the Elizabeth Hamer sculpture, which is like a heroic size bust. And if that was done in cement, then I think that could, and it was done on a cement base, I think that could look really nice. And I've already thought of a sketch for that.
Well, you would
Well,
have to do that research and make it so that it reflects Hazel Crest. Or because I asked in one meeting about, a figurehead or someone that they would want to do a tribute to. And I think the response was it's always revolving. So they wouldn't want a person, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So a historical person, and that would be some research you would have to do with
Right.
the committee,
Right.
and then justify the reason
Well,
why.
I
Yeah.
was thinking even just doing a piece in my own style, just doing one of my signature busts that are in my artwork, just my artwork, instead of giving someone historical context, maybe just
Hmm.
creating something beautiful. Because I feel like that would probably match better with the other work in the park.
Hmm.
How tall
Uh,
would are your thoughts on your creation?
If Alpha, if you're able to go back one,
just a moment.
yes, ma'am.
Oh, right here. I like this
Uh,
girl with the flower. What
that one's actually about 28 inch, 30 inches tall. So
would you
that would
want
be
me
a
to go
really
back to?
um that one's fine if you go to that one, because
Okay.
that would be the size that I could really do something that for that budget. I could do something around this size, which is
I
not too
like
small.
this.
It's intimate,
Yeah,
and
I
I
like
think that could work.
yeah, I like
And it
this.
would be on a pedestal about that size. The whole uh, figure would be there. The
Yes,
pedals
ma'am.
and
Yes,
the
ma'am. Yes,
okay.
ma'am. The
yeah,
pedestal would probably have to be well, if we do concrete, then the whole piece feels like one piece, which is what I would like to be done. So that way it's not a concrete sculpture on a granite base. I feel like those things would contrast too much. So I feel like if they were both the same material, then they both will have I can definitely do this in the rendering, but they would both have the same, it would look like they're one piece. And I think that could look really interesting.
So then
oh,
let me ask,
go
if
ahead.
you're using concrete, would that be heavier? Which is heaviest? The concrete?
Um, well, this granite base, I'd say it would be around the same size, because this granite base also has concrete inside of it. So the all my pieces um, are made and adapted to the designs of a lot of structural engineers, which is why I kind of have a question about the budget with a cement foundation, because that's not something I typically am able to do. Because you'd have to dig out into the ground. I would have to do research on
That's something that the Public Works would do. That's why I was trying to get through that slide
Okay.
to show you, the Public Works Director, Carl Person, which
Okay.
is on the Beautification Open
Right.
Lands Committee
And
and
that
with Public Works. And he did the digging after we went and got a quote from a concrete company, which was like 2,500, for them to dig, but they have the specifications, they know what's under the ground, they have to come out and do that work.
yeah.
And that's Public Works. But what we're looking
Yeah.
at for the artists to do, again, is the conceptual, the design, and then your installation.
I
Okay.
wanted to
So
say, Austin, Alpha, Maryland,
Mhm.
that a symbolic presentation of youth, because the youth is our future. So just like I see the young girl or a young boy, we bring that element of youth into the open lands as a sculptural piece.
I like,
you guys like that idea?
of
I
course,
thought
I like
about
that
Okay.
idea.
All
Yeah.
right. I can definitely think about doing something like that.
Right. And then, so Bill, I mean, you guys have been talking about this whole, like, seeing the background, Marilyn, of the piece.
Yeah.
You call it a what?
A
Well,
pavilion,
Fancy word for
he was calling it a pergola.
pergola, and then we talked about pavilion, but
Well, the pavilion is
is
it would be different from a pergola. A pavilion should be larger.
okay. So that looks more like pergola.
yeah,
That looks
something
more
like that.
pergola
And
to
then
me.
you would have to come here and identify like a space. I mean, we've been asking artists because we need you engaged in the project instead
Yeah.
of us going out picking, oh, this would be ideal for you. Going out and looking at what resonates with you for an installation and
Thank you.
how it would fit, like that. I really like I think that the granite base, fitting over a concrete, whatever way we need to position this with that rebar or whatever that's going to go up that middle to secure that sculpture. And then look at the base. I know under this rocks, I do see the concrete underneath.
Mm.
So those are things that the Public Works would help you design once you find a location and agree upon that location. They do the work in digging and looking and knowing, because they have the plans for what's under that area.
Okay.
When I think of a sculpture, when I first thought of sculpture, I thought of one location. And that location is where people can see it without necessarily going through the trail or going within the open lands. And that would be to view it from Ketsy. I always thought that would be a perfect spot to have a sculpture. And if we're talking about children, family like that, I would think that would be a great area for that.
Yeah,
Just
I agree with you on that, Merlin.
Over there, like where the pole is in the front, in that
not
area?
not well off in the center of that. Not
Okay.
much as where it's definitely away from where the our signage is, because that would take away. You
Right.
want this piece to stand on its own and to be seen and valued differently from being too close to our open land sign. So we have the space that's open right now. And I think that would be a great spot, especially if you're talking about children and you're talking
Mhm.
about brass. That would be a perfect spot then along the trailway.
We didn't say brass. Would you do this in when did you do this in
Well,
concrete?
concrete or however, whatever material you should use,
Let's
just to,
say we don't have a budget for bronze or these expensive,
yeah,
metals. We build,
yeah,
metal. Even for my metal chair, the prices went up and versus when we bid it because of the tariffs and
yeah, yeah,
taxes and all that stuff went up double what I bid it. And
yeah.
so Yeah. So just to
Yeah.
get the supplies, basic supplies, it took the whole budget. You know what I mean? Just to get the supplies, not the labor, getting it put together, bringing it there, all that. It's just, so anyway, I think that when you suggested the concrete build, that's something affordable and attainable for us.
And let me also say, Austin, you talked about brass being what it is, and maybe anything else would have to involve some type of upkeep from time to time. Uh, Give me an example for it. For example, if concrete is used, what type of upkeep would need to be done periodically?
Um, well, what I can say is that if I'm doing concrete, the sculpture would have to be sealed, which would mean it would have to be lacquered and painted. Um, Typically,
Yeah,
I don't think it's a good idea to have arms out and stuff like that. Like with the boy
yeah,
holds flower, the arm is kind of out like that. And if it's not bronze, I wouldn't want that specific sculpture there because someone could tamper with it and
yeah,
vandalize it very easily. That's the risk that you run with doing a ceramic sculpture. Even though I've done a bronze sculpture of a Tuskegee Airman, it was still vandalized. They cut off the head, they cut the feet off and everything.
Because
Yeah,
they could sell that stuff. They could take it and sell
yeah,
it.
they tried to, but the whole city of Detroit went after the person and got it back, and then I fixed it. And I unveiled that one. I re-unveiled it last October. So um,
so,
if I do a concrete sculpture, it definitely can be a child, but I think it should be a bust. Just because the maintenance on that would be
yeah.
um, a lot simpler, and then it would also it would also be it would also be a lot easier to um, kind of to fabricate it, create it, and it would just really work well with the budget. Doing a larger than life size bust of a child would be a really good idea, and I can definitely do a rendering for that. That's what I can do with that budget.
That sounds
Uh,
great.
And here's a Tuskegee Airmen piece.
Yeah, that was the one that got stolen. And I refined it actually. I took that opportunity once it was damaged. I refined it. I replaced I made a way better airplane. You can see that airplane
He
was
says a
not the
way
best.
better,
I made a way better
way better.
airplane, and I put a new. If you go on Google and you type in the Tuskegee Airman, you can see the new one that I made. And these are some pictures that my friend took, but I've made a way better version of it, which I was actually really happy to do. So it gave me the opportunity to do that. So when it got stolen, I was kind of not happy, but I was more like, okay, well, at least I can make it better.
And then they insured the piece too, so then you were able to.
I think they put some cameras around it. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
like.
that's
But I'm just saying, like
Can
with
you hear me?
them, with the damage, and they got the estimates or whatever, that gave you an additional budget to work with, right?
Not really, but kind
Oh,
of, but not really. The city of
okay.
Detroit is a great city, but it's
yeah.
we're all trying. I mean, I know that sculptures aren't everyone's top priority, so I'm very grateful to my city and that it allows opportunities for artists like that one. So I've been very, very fortunate to be able to work with the city of Detroit. I think that there's a lot of changes that need to be made with the infrastructure, but once those problems are solved, I think everything will really be really well planned. I would like to say though, for me, it's really, really important that like with this sculpture, which was a really good opportunity for me to work with, was because the board, the committee, I'll tell you the story. I was working in my studio and there was a documentary, a very old one that aired about me um, by PBS. And it was called Detroit Performs, and it really catapulted me because they aired it nationally. And a woman from Havre de Grace, Maryland, Mrs. Kame Murthy, really she was the second person to give me an opportunity to commission a bronze sculpture. And every week, while I was creating the sculpture, they would do a Zoom call with me, and they would give me very good critiques, and they were able to help me grow as an artist. So they were tough on me. They gave me a lot of good, and what I really like about the opportunity to work with you, Marilyn, Bill, and Alpha, is that I want to grow as an artist. I really want to make great work. So I think it's really important to have committees that will engage with the sculpture
Mhm.
being made, because
Mhm.
I want to make something that not only lasts a long time, but that's really well done.
Mhm.
And that's what this was my second, public work, and it had specific details that needed to be made because a baseball player in the Negro League, the uniforms are much different. And there's certain things that have to be done to create a sculpture like that. So
This,
I was very, very fortunate to meet Mrs. Kame Murthy, who just kind of picked me to be the artist for this sculpture. And she raised up $80,000 on pretty much on her own to honor Ernest Burke, who was a World War II sharpshooter and also played in the Negro League. And he was just a really good community member in that area of Havre de Grace. And he made it a very pleasant place to be. And making that sculpture of him really showed me that it really doesn't take much to be, it, it takes a lot to be a hero, but it doesn't take much. It just takes being a good person with integrity. And that was that person. So I was really glad to honor him.
yeah, I like
Yeah.
to say this. I have to depart though. Um, excuse me. This, I want to say, Austin, it's just a fortunate opportunity to have you on board with our Open Lands 2026-27 project.
Yeah.
And we want to work closely with you. I mean, I'm very impressed, and I'm sure Alpha and Marilyn.
Yeah. I
I
am.
am too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, and there'll be other considerations in terms of travel arrangements and fees that may be necessary. But we're gonna just support you as well as you support us.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'll see you all next week, or you can text and we can communicate through uh, either phone or text. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay.
All right, and I
Bill.
need your flyer to add to the
Yeah,
PowerPoint, Bill.
I'll send that to you tomorrow.
Okay, great.
All right, bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Will.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and so looking at, I'll be able to use um, your CD.
Yep, I can send you an updated one as well.
This is 25. You got something going
Uh,
on in
I've been
2026.
working. I've been working through
This is only
2026. I've been
February
working.
2026. You all right here. So solo shows, and I guess you need to add the public art installations, but this is what I'll probably be looking at, more of the public art installations. These are your, of course, your exhibition list, residencies and community outreach.
Mhm. And
And
I'm definitely open to doing community outreach. When I was in Madison, Wisconsin, I created the mother and child sculpture that I think you saw and you went through.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
developing that sketch, I actually developed that sketch by getting inspiration from meeting the local nonprofits. I was able to go to the area where the site was, and I met with the Darble community, and they um, they really inspired me because a lot of those individuals that lived there were single mothers raising their children, and I just wanted to kind of honor them in some type of way. So that's what I that's what I did for that. And I was able to meet with those nonprofits and communities and just try and get along with everybody. So that was a great
So I was
experience for me.
talking with an artist that lives there in Hazel Crest, and she had a studio she just gave up. It's part of the church, a church that's over there. So we can talk about residencies and, when you're coming over here, Bill said he could work out something for residency and look at it that way. None of the artists, only one artist came from another city to do this work. Carol came from Clinton, Maryland to do this work. So we're looking at, looking at that travel budget and looking at accommodation budget. So like Bill said, he'd work out something maybe with William Center for the Arts, get you a place to work because a lot of this work needs to be in the studio with good ventilation because you have to, haul it over to the location for installation. So, I guess he's looking around Hazel Crest for a space to work out of,
So then let me understand, and not to cut you off, Alpha. So then, Austin, you are still in Detroit. That is your residence?
I'm in Toledo, Ohio now.
Oh, in Ohio. Okay. So you'll be coming from Ohio.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So
And then we asked for the artists to do workshops or some kind of engagement with the community. And then Maryland has a list of the, when we tell them, because I'm putting together the scope of services agreement, for next year, and then looking at the work that we completed and what was successful, dates of installation will probably always be Maryland, October, because then we build up the fall and it gives artists time to work on their work.
Yeah.
You mentioned several times, like your time, you got to give a timeline of installation. I know I couldn't do mine till April, so I knew I wouldn't be in the lineup for a fall installation. So 2 artists went out. This is our first implementation or designing of this project. And so we knew that 2 said they could be ready for October. And then the other 3, Bill, myself, and Carol, we knew that we would use Arbor Day, as another spring event to pull off, like not a gala, but we're looking at the healing arts and under Arbor Day. So, and it's better for us to have like not all these random, dedications when the village can come out and just do like 2 events. And that's how we kind of planned it. So, I guess from this point forward, we've seen your bio, your CV of your work, amazing work, by the way.
Thank you.
And you entered the conversation about not being like a degreed artist or whatever, but I think always that, art is God-given. And sometimes we're all born with an innateness and a gift artist. I can say that for myself, even though I did go to school, but I was a gifted artist before going to school to learn technical things in school. So, you don't leave that out the conversation. We know they can, you can tell the high school students, you can, give them that because an award, they should be awarded for their, their gift, because it's always a gift, talent, ability, because not everybody can do this work. So, so I'm glad we got a chance to see it and talk with you. I like the way you document your work, because that's part of the process as well. So I guess the next step is, you thinking about, you saw what Marilyn, she's the chair, she kind of went with, so kind of go from there. Like where? Go where? Like concrete is affordable. Maintenance, probably all sculptures need to be maintained every 2 to 3 to 5 years. They do have put it in one of their budgets, but I just think artists within your contract, artists need to be responsible for the maintenance of their project. If it's damaged, we don't want someone else coming out repainting it, refixing it when they need a contract. Right. And so we that little clause that you read, that little clause that I put in that RFQ about the visual artist rights.
I don't know if I saw that one specifically.
It's
I'll
in
have to
there and
look
it's
back.
highlighted yellows to make sure everybody know that we have our
Uh,
rights to these
okay.
sculptures in terms of, notifying us if you're gonna deinstall it, if it's
Right.
damaged, what we're responsible for, not just
Okay.
install it and just wipe our hands and walk away. We need to come back out if something happens within a period of time, and it's in the contract.
Now, so I have a question. So with this budget, would $2,500 be taken out of it to do the pour for the piece?
If that's what you need to give me your proposal, if you have a line item for $2,500 and you put $2,500 because you need a pour and this to happen, put whatever the transport of it for installation. That's a cost because you got to rent a truck, or unless you have your own
Okay.
truck. And if you have
Well,
a,
I'm talking specifically about the cement foundation for the sculpture to be anchored to,
no,
which you
that's
said.
for Public Works,
Okay, so
right?
they will do all that. That cost won't come out of my budget.
No, and that
Oh,
2,500 was a figure that when they were researching the first pour for the concrete company told them that. But we had Carl Person, which works for Public Works, and some other public work folks do that work.
Mhm,
They dug the hole because they have
mhm,
all of the equipment with the Public Works.
mhm,
Just let them know what you need to be done.
right.
And like, for example, Peter sent over, like, instead of the square, he sent a round concept idea of how he wants his concrete base to look that complemented the sculpture. And he sent that over and then Carl worked with that. I sent over a square mock-up from architect of how I want my piece to be installed with so it's either a circle or square. I noticed in your the black baseball player, you had him only standing on a metal piece.
The actually no, that was what the and that wasn't actually my idea was to create a bronze kind of mound, but that was too expensive for the budget. And the committee was really lenient on me because we really worked well together. Even though the sculpture was around 80,000, they could give me, only 60 of it or 40 of it to really create the sculpture. And with that, I was able to get through COVID-19, which was a really hard time. The fact that that money came through like right before it was, or right when it was happening was really hard. It was really a good timing because I didn't have there was no, I had to do, at that point, I didn't even have any way to make any money.
mhm,
So, um, eventually after that, I went to get a new studio and then I created that sculpture and then the mound that was fabricated, they actually handled that by doing a cement mound. So they actually
Mhm.
fabricated that themselves. And then all I had to do was make the base plate and then the the sculpture, get it there and then install it. So
Well,
I
yeah, so
think
that's, go ahead, Mary.
I was going to say what I'm thinking is it would be good for you to have from us a picture of a photo of how the open lands look from off of the main street, Kedzie, so that you could see my idea of where your sculpture could go in the midst of the surrounding area. What do you think,
okay.
Alpha? Because you don't live in.
I took pictures when I was out there. I'm looking for a picture right now.
You can send me that picture. I can have a sketch and rendering for
Mhm.
you very soon.
Okay.
And I'll do a little bit of research on what I typically for doing a concrete sculpture. There's some stuff that you can do with the sculpture, with painting it and stuff like that. And I'm gonna really try and do some research because I want to make sure that I have something that's long lasting, that I won't have to,
Mhm.
come out there and do any maintenance on it. Um, preferably that's how I'd want to do it, so that that it's very durable and that it requires less maintenance. Okay.
Okay. Let's see
So
what you
here's
have.
here's a area that we walked, um, and that's toward Kinsey, the street. I know you're not talking
Mhm.
about there. This is past
So
it.
you
Right.
can see that from the street.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
See what, this here?
Yep.
Yes. That's from
Mhm.
the street she's talking about, Kinsey. And then,
Mhm.
and that's also like the beginning of where the bus stop is, and people, and see
Mhm.
up there on the mound. This is too close
Ye-
to the water.
Yeah.
But let's see, I'm getting over to the front, like where you are. This
Yeah.
is the, over here, this is the street where those cars are.
I call that where you see those tall grasses. That would be the south side of the creek. And I'm looking at the north. So here we go. That's the flagpole.
Right here. And then
But
this street right here, and then that other street is a service street that comes down
yeah, yeah,
where apartments go back there. But right in this area, this is the
yeah.
pole, this is the bushes. People are walking. Let me see if I have something else from another angle. This is what we're saying that we don't want it to go because this is already staged.
It's already staged, but it would be just there's an open area from there, which is near the corner, to the
Mm,
creek that that art installation would go perfect.
I think
In
like
my
right,
kind of
that's where I'm at over here.
okay, you're over there. Okay,
On
yeah,
that service street. So
yeah, on Service
his would
Street
be
in the front
mhm.
where, yeah,
That stop
let's see.
sign. It would be right in this area. If you can see my little mouse, this is the stop sign over here. That's the main street over there.
Yeah, that's on
Right
that
there.
side. That's the
But it
north.
was always better for you to come and walk the space, to kind of see. But Marilyn, you have a good idea about like placement where you want people
Yeah,
to see it pop
yeah,
up.
yeah. Can see it and can see it from the street even as they're driving by. And that would, um, in my opinion, that's always been what would say, here we are, the open lands beautification of Village at Hazel.
Hmm.
The sign is there, but with the signage, to me, there should always have been some form of a uh, uh, artwork, like a statue of some kind, or what you are capable of doing, Austin, would go
Yes,
perfect.
ma'am.
Would
Yes,
go
ma'am. Thank you
So,
so much. I can definitely create a really good rendering with these images,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then I'll see what I can do. Um, all right.
yeah, see, I guess, yeah,
Yeah,
it
And then
would
that should
be
be a good
is
way.
there a deadline for the RFQ in
June
June? Okay.
30th,
June of
but
this
you but
year.
you're coming in early. Don't take your time to June because I have to put together the scope of services agreement. And then that, I have your bio. I mean, Bill really wants really excited about your work and you doing this project with him. You would be our only out of town guest this time. National artist is coming into Hazel Crest. All the others are local, well, Chicago, and we're looking at local. But since Marilyn's on here, she's the chair, she's seen the work. Then you put your proposal together. Most of it's done because I got all your background stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, now we know your range, and then you just break down your estimate cost of what it would
Mm-hmm.
be under that range,
Mm-hmm.
what it would cost for the and then you might want to put a note under for travel because I would probably look at the travel and what it would cost from where are you at in Ohio and Toledo to Chicago round trip, and then accommodations, for you to come out, and then we'll go for there if you're going to stage it as a residency or a deliverable, or it'll be more cost effective to do it in your studio and then have it transported here. give us two different kind of scenarios. Because how long is it going to take you to do it? And I know if you're in your own studio, it's more cost effective because you're paying an overhead anyway. But what would it cost
Right.
to transport that from Toledo to Chicago? I mean, to
And you know what I'm
Hazel
thinking
Crest.
as well? I'm
Mhm.
thinking, I'm just thinking this way. If now we talked about concrete being the most economical, but I would even suggest a comparison from concrete to your uh, bronze that you mentioned, and give them a choice to see something to think about.
Yeah, because
Uh,
Peter gave them that $50,000 big, huge, metal
uh-huh.
piece then it was a middle range,
Oh
and
yeah,
then it was what's affordable.
yeah.
So
Oh
if you can do that as well.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm,
Just in
yeah.
case there can be more funds that are
Yeah. Give
okay.
them something to think about. I would suggest starting out with the bronze and then saying if that's not feasible, then there's also an alternative. And then they can look at that because the material is important. As you mentioned about the bronze, which really would look good, give them
Mhm.
a choice. Let's see what they can come up with.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think this right here is the area. I kept flipping through here.
It's the area.
Right in
It's
this area here.
it's the area. You're just seeing the side view, not
Right.
front view, and that's
From
what
Kenzie.
I want to make sure he gets the whole picture of that from the creek to that area right there, so he can center it and see where the installation would go best, which would go
Could you
great.
go on a Google Earth and you get the location and you could look at it from Kenzie and 172nd Street if you go on Google Earth. And I can do that in the background while you know while we're talking.
Okay. But yes, Austin, your work is fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm very well impressed. I'm glad that you've had the opportunities that you've had with the with uh history, with the bust that you created with is that called the Arkansas Nine? I always think of the Arkansas Nine that you did uh the figures with. I think there was five of them, something. I don't know. I don't remember, but I remember the art.
The Eastern Tennessee State University, the five.
Okay, it was the five.
The
Okay.
first five. I call
The
it the paths, but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that was fantastic. I'm aware of that type of history. I
that's
wasn't
wonderful.
there, but I'm well aware of that history, and so I think that would really give them food for thought. So that's why I don't want you to throw out the presentation of giving a choice between bronze and the concrete, because just maybe they would be impressed enough to come up with that figure. Um, and just what you've shown us is just great. Sounds like something that, well, it's something that I've been looking for years. So let's see what they say and do. Um, how how often or do you travel here to Chicago
My son
area?
lives there, so I would be trying to come there as much as I can.
Okay. Okay. Well, that would be good. Do you know the next time you'll be in the area?
I'm not exactly sure, but I can definitely plan a site visit for later in the spring.
Probably come through for Arbor Day.
Arbor Day.
That would be
Okay.
good.
Here's
Mm-hmm.
that area you're
Yes,
talking
that
about.
area. Mm-hmm.
All right, so here is the street Kenzie. Here's the sign. Can you guys see this here?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so this is the signage, but this is that
Mm-hmm.
walking path, that sidewalk that comes down the street,
Mm-hmm.
the street view. So
Right. Mm.
you
If
would get a
that,
lot of visibility in this area where, right? right here. I don't know. Back in, you know
Well,
what, it's an open area back there.
but I wouldn't quite put it there.
Mm-hmm.
I would give it a space of its own, and that would be, yeah. If if that could be shifted where you're looking forward into the open lands and not so much that corner, that would be good.
Well, yeah, but the rest of this is foliage. This is a good picture of what it looks like in the spring when you're all like
Spring,
when
summer.
spring, summer. There's some this is that street that goes down to the neighborhood?
It is.
Okay, yeah, so
And
there's
see,
an area right here,
your installation would be over there.
down here.
Well, it's not that far down. You're
This
yeah,
down
kind of
here where the street sign is. See that right here? It's right here.
right there. Mm-hmm.
And this area that he cleared out with that tree fell right here, it's
Mm-hmm.
down here. And I
Yeah.
chose this area, Austin, because across the way, this is the other part of the down in this area is another part of the open land that we got
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
those projects over
Can
here.
you go back to the area that's can you point to the area where the sculpture will actually be?
Where your sculpture
Yeah.
may
Can you
be,
point? Yeah. Can you point?
maybe. Yeah, just a moment. Okay, here's the main street. That's 171st Street. This is
Hmm.
where we're at, Kinsey and 171st. So you got, I know you're not talking about over here.
No, I'm not talking about over there. I'm talking about further. Yeah, if kind of in that area behind.
Behind this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Because
bus
there
stop
was,
that's right there, and there's a canal that's right here.
well, that's the creek right there, but the bus stop is on the other side.
It's right here, yeah. And then
Yeah,
so,
there's a bus stop on this. That bus stop you may be talking about is south of that creek. This
mhm,
side is north of that creek.
okay. So all we have is this back in here.
Yeah, back in there. Uh-huh. We've opened that up. They've taken a lot of trees down there. So I would think that would be a prime spot.
And this was July of 2024. This image was taken. So,
Yeah, well, we've cleared that out even more.
mhm.
So it's just waiting. It's just waiting for a good installation to be there. Oh, let's see. Is that it? What is that you
This is
have?
the other side.
Okay,
This is
that's the
going
other
down
side.
171st Street, all this open area
Mhm.
right
But
here.
back off there,
Mhm.
it's a good clearance uh for your
So,
piece. Mm-hmm.
and then
Austin.
this was because of loading in and out this street right
Oh,
here,
no,
you
that
know.
street right there is going to the condos further down.
Right, but I'm just saying, who asked that question? Somebody asked the question. Oh, Peter and them asked a question about, loading in and oh, Gary Gashard asked that question about how to get in and when they need to deliver the sculpture. So this right here, this street right here would be good to load in the
Oh yeah.
sculpture,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
because you'd have a place to
Absolutely.
park over
Yeah,
here. You would have to
yeah. We
maneuver through all this to get over here.
no, well back there it's clearance, so probably around this little bush tree and just go straight on back there.
Okay.
So that would be a good space. In fact, since you have that alpha, that is an area that I thought, since your installation is down that street,
Uh-huh.
that area there, since it's kind of opened, I thought that would be great for us to set up those designed tables that we're working on to have refreshments or to
Okay.
have. That
Right
would be
here.
an excellent area. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right. So you,
that's the specific area that the sculpture would be?
That would be the specific because everything else is kind of
Okay.
enclosed with more trees and tall grasses. that's not where your
Mhm.
type of sculpture
Alpha,
should
would
go.
you be able to use the mouse to show me the specific placement, possibly? Right there.
Right where you're,
That's where it
mhm,
Right
is?
in here.
but
Mhm.
Okay.
further, yeah, that's
Right
it
here.
right there, but maybe further into there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
That's why I said that front view would be good as well. Um,
Yeah, I like that.
See,
A
there's
little
this
bit
right
yeah,
here. Yeah,
nestled
yeah,
nestled
into the.
in. And so you got people, this is, you can tell this is not really a walking community. More people are driving but they are going to be doing construction on Kenzie, which is going to be opening up this whole area right here for
yeah.
sidewalks and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So a lot of construction is going to be happening in the next couple of years just on this street alone.
Is
Um,
there is there a height requirement for the sculpture?
I think is that what I asked you about how tall would you think your
I,
sculpture
I
should be?
think that if it's gonna be viewed from the street, it should be if the base is, let's say it's 4 feet tall, then the sculpture only needs to be around 2 feet, 24 inches, and that way we have about 6 feet of clearance, and that's really viewable. So as long as we do the base over 30, much a little bit over 36 inches, at least
and you
40
want that base
inches.
to be concrete, right?
Yes, ma'am. And if that's 42 inches, then the sculpture, if it's about at least 2 feet or 30 inches, then we have over 6 feet. And I think that's a great view from the street.
I'd have to think about that. I'm going to judge it based on Peters, because Peters is 12 feet. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yeah,
I would
but
almost say 6 feet more so than four because that sits kind of low. What you don't see here is if you can see the little white line kind of to the right of the screen, that's a
Right
major.
here.
Hmm.
Yes.
And there's actually a incline, not a deep one, but just still an incline.
Right here.
Um, well, no, not where are
Right back
we?
there.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Is that the other side?
I'm
I
just
don't
showing
see.
him the street and what's happening
Yeah,
with the
I don't
street.
see the signage. Okay, yeah.
so 7 feet would be better then.
Yeah, it would need to be tall enough to be seen. I mean, the whole, to be seen. I think 4 feet is not enough. A person would have to get out their car. They may easily not see, oh, there's something over there. But it needs to be heightened enough to be seen from the street.
Okay.
So what we're going to have to do with that now is go back to Public Works
Mm-hmm.
to see about them constructing something like that. The cost, you know, of materials and everything, because that's really going to have to be built up. And it's
Well,
durable. It's durable. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm
it's
just going
doable.
like,
Yeah, it's
yeah, for it to
doable.
go up to this height right here.
Probably so. Let's see what that is. Yeah, probably so. Certainly not as tall as the evergreens, and they've grown.
Yeah, they're not that tall, but you want it to be you want it to be seen and not lost. But
Yeah.
again, when the weather changes, you can really it'll pop.
Well, I'll
Okay.
tell
Most of
you when
that dies, the leaves die, but the evergreens are still there. But you want it to, pop and be seen. Here's the concrete
yeah,
for people. I do see people walking down the street
they do.
sometimes, and
They
then, when they're out doing the walks and whatever.
mm-hmm,
And then this concrete, I do see people walking. Maybe I'm
mm-hmm,
not there when they're walking, but it'll
mm-hmm,
make it so that you all will use more of this area too, because right now you're using more of that entry presentation area off homes and
mm-hmm.
not as much over here on this street with activity.
Right, not a lot for activity. And I don't want Austin, your project, to be entwined off the path where it won't be seen. It needs to be displayed well. And yeah, so yeah,
And this is that other bus stop you were talking about. I didn't notice
yeah,
that
that's
because I
the
don't
other
ride the
bus
bus
stop.
out there. But
Hmm.
I said I don't ride the bus out there. So this is that other bus stop right here that
Right.
people will walk by.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my thought. So yeah, I'm thinking something like 6 feet. Uh,
This is the other
actually,
side of see right here they can see it because this is I
yeah,
showed you from the 171st Street, but down
yeah,
Kinsey, this is that other area you're talking about back here.
right.
They'll be
That's
able to
the
see it.
area.
And I think
Hmm.
we could gauge it by this fire hydrant right there,
I
right
don't
here.
know. Is that a fire hydrant? Wait a minute. Let
Yes,
me
it
see
is.
what I'm looking at
A little
here.
fire hydrant right there. That's in the front.
But is that the corner
No,
where?
yeah, it's not the corner, but it's right by the pole in that
Okay,
area. I
there's
just
the
said we could
pole.
gauge it
Okay.
by remembering, for me, my memory, gauge it right here. And is this something that Bill was gonna do with the his natives in this area too? Or
Yes,
that's it? Yeah,
yes.
okay. Yeah,
I
so
think
that'll
this
work
is
with
it.
his natives and then his piece, your piece back in this
Back
area right
off
here.
from there. And it can be
People could
seen.
see it from this angle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And would that be a side angle or would that
This
be
is
a
coming
front
down
view?
Kenzie.
And that would
So
actually be a front.
Okay,
Actually, that
this,
would be a front angle.
okay.
They can see it from the side, but how you design the bust like figure will be facing Kedzie, the street itself, where that
Okay,
sidewalk
and
is.
where the mouse is that where the piece is supposed to go?
In that
yes,
area.
in
Uh-huh.
an
Okay.
area, but once you
Hmm.
come, you can look at the
You can,
ground.
yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. I think I have everything that I need to develop a sketch at this point. And then I can get that to you along with my CV, the 6 images, and a statement about the piece that I want to create. Um, is is that all that's needed for the RFQ?
Yeah, that's it for right now.
Okay.
And
And
the
yeah,
sooner I get this, the better, because I did, well, I can
what's your email?
Alpha, ALPHA,
Do I
Bruton,
see if I have it?
BRUTON at
Sorry, Alpha.
gmail.com. Mhm.
Sorry, Alpha. And then what was the rest?
Bruton, Bruton,
B
BRUTON,
B BRUTON
TON at gmail.com. Like Alpha, ALPHA.
G. Okay. All right. I think I got it. Great. All right. I will email it
And
to you as soon as
also
I
with
finish.
that, give your cost estimates for delivery,
Okay.
and again, whether it's going to be poured here, cured, and fly back, storage space, public works. I don't know where you got to
And
figure
you
that
want
out.
me to do a separate budget, correct, for granite and bronze version, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm, mhm. And as you mentioned, you said that now the bronze is pretty much free from needing to be uh, any upkeep for it, or will it require some upkeep?
For bronze, it just needs to be cleaned
Yeah.
once a year with soap and water, and then
Okay.
re-waxed every 2 to 3 years, which usually a committee will go to an art restoration company, and they'll hire someone to just come and refinish the sculpture with a finished wax, with a wax, like a museum wax, and they'll just apply it to the sculpture after they clean it, and that's usually what happens with that. The
That's
granite
the
base
maintenance for
just,
that.
yeah, the granite base just needs soap and water. For concrete, I will definitely research on what the maintenance is for that, and I'll include that with my proposal.
Okay, so let me go back. You mentioned a granite base.
Yes, ma'am.
The granite
So
base is what we looked at. Did you see it?
yeah, yeah, I
Uh-huh.
saw the granite base, which looks fabulous, which
But
would,
it
of
doesn't have
course,
to be a solid granite. Wouldn't it be granite slab
Yes, they're
around the
granite slabs,
concrete
but
base?
yes, yes, they're
And is
granite
that base
slabs.
going to be round or is it going to be square, rectangular?
Well, for me, I would want to do in my sketch, I'm thinking of doing something round, which I haven't really done that before with granite, but I've done it. I have experimented with it with concrete, and I think it could look very good.
Okay.
can I make a comment
Yes,
just
ma'am.
to think about this as well? I'm thinking square basically because of the ground, and ground has a tendency to sometimes shift, but I'm trusting that the way they put the concrete in and all that, that would not happen. But that's also a very high winded area because that the wind comes from the west. So it seems like it would have more support being squared than rounded. Not sure. Depends on the width and the circumference of your circle diameter.
Mhm.
Maybe that would be good if Carl got into that as well. With
I'm going to show him both of the things that we work with. While we're talking, I was looking it up um,
mm-hmm,
to show him the different, what we're doing two options here. This is the round one we proposed. And we did it this way so that it blended more in with the grooves so that the water would run off the grooves and not just settle on top of the concrete. And then they went back and they stained it so that it looks more like wood.
Okay.
Is what kind of like what
I
they were
feel
doing.
like because that's rounded, it would look really good to have a rounded pedestal on it. And I actually have it with the pedestal that I would like to create. I can kind of give you if I can share an image, I can
I'm
show
going to show you
you.
the other. I was showing you the other one we started off with. I have
Okay.
it here to show. Let me share so give you the, so that you can share. Can you share yours without me making you co-host?
Yeah, I should be
Okay,
able to just put it in the chat. And
and I'll click it.
I'm gonna show you. This is not the circumference that I would be using, but it's like it's of a similar it's of a similar it's of a similar style, if that makes sense.
Mhm. While you're doing that, I was going to show you the other one. This is the one that we initially um were going to do, just the square, but it just worked out better for us to do the round
mm-hmm.
one because it went with the you know, the organic shapes of the round instead of the square like.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm more interested in doing the round one just
Okay.
because I feel like it'll really blend it'll look really good aesthetically, and the circumference, I don't think the diameter shouldn't have anything to do with the wind. I think it'll be fine. Um
Okay.
I think that because of the depth that I want to use, it should be fine because I'm thinking something around, like 24 inches. Um let me just find should be this is just a rendering, but this kind of gives you a view of why I would want to use um
Round versus square.
yeah, yes.
Okay.
Can everybody see it?
No, you put it in the meeting chat, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me pull it up.
Well, I'm excited.
This is an idea that I really am inspired by. Um, something like this would probably, as a bronze and marble
I see.
sculpture. This
Okay,
is this is a sketch, but
I
what I
see.
would want to do would be to create a bronze sculpture on top of a marble column. And um, I did an art residency in Nevada in 2018, when I was really too young to do artist residencies. I don't even think I really left during the day. I just only worked at night, and it was in Nevada, and the air was beautiful, and I just saw this wide open valley, and I saw bears and
Mm-hmm.
lizards and bobcats eating lizards. It was a really beautiful place, and it was right at the foot of this mountain that I could hike up every day. And I lived with two other artists, and when I would work at night, I I would basically use um, the since I didn't really have any materials with me, I created these columns where I would pour cement into these tubes, but I would um, use the space in the cement to in the tube to use foam, and I would spray that in there. So once it hardened and cured, and then I poured the cement in there, I could take the foam out, and it would leave these beautiful cavities into if like you zoom into the column, you can see that there's sculptures placed within them. And I think
Mm-hmm.
what would be really inspiring would be to create this allows for more of a story with the sculpture, because in the column, in the pedestal itself, there's a new narrative. So my idea is to create the concrete column and then have another sculpture in the column. That way, you're really getting this beautiful view of how to um, of these different sculptures. Um, so this would all be concrete since it wouldn't be bronze, but I could still maybe change up the colors a little bit. But this gets, this I think this would really allow for a really cool concept.
I like
Um,
it. I think I'll use this slide for the scope of services as a, because I presented like maybe three different things on the artist, and then of course we go back and kind of refine the proposal. But I have to present this budget to this village manager, to the commission, um, before the 24th of March. And I said that I would get by the end of the week, get him the next year's budget and scope of services. So what I'll do is I'll use this, and I'll use some of your higher price points for the work you've done. But intentionally, this one right here, I think it would be a better fit. They're in the woods because of the cavity, you know what I mean? And not just a solid thing of concrete being placed there. But I love this concept here.
Thank you so much.
I really think that this is took it up a notch. What do you think, Marilyn?
I'm still trying to wrap my thoughts around this simply because we do have animals,
There you go.
and I'm thinking about the birds.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, making it.
birds love my sculptures.
Yeah, I'm thinking about them
They might
nestling.
nest in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It might
nestling
look pretty
and
cool in there. It just
Yeah,
depends on
we're
how
trying to
we
avoid them taking over.
Well, it's about the texture that you put on the surface of the sculpture too. Like with a lot of architecture, they put little needles and stuff so birds can't lay on it. And it's just things like that that I usually would do. I have a lot of non-tampering ways that I think about when I'm making sculptures. So I mean, I can't stop everything, but I've definitely closed up certain areas so that there can't be a beehive in the sculpture, things like that.
yeah,
I always
yeah,
take that into consideration
that's,
when I'm
yeah,
creating.
yeah. However, because it's definitely a nice, very nice thought of having something like this. but I'm looking at two things. Now, the shorter one, I'd like more of the width of that because the taller one reminds me of that flagpole.
Yeah,
And
it
I,
echoes that.
yeah,
Well, if we did the shorter one, I think that is the best way to do this because we can create it so that the column is 7, and I'll do this in the rendering. But if this is what we want to go with, Marilyn, then that one can be 7 to 8 feet tall, and then
Mhm.
all we have to do is really have the column poured correctly,
mhm.
and then I'll have to work closely with the construction team that will be doing the cement. But basically, they can pour it to my specifications, and I'll have to be there to make sure that the cavity is done the right way, because I have to do that myself. But then once that's done, all what needs to be done is the sculpture needs to be placed within the column, and we can make that pretty large. We can make that about maybe 7 to 8 feet, maybe. I mean,
So,
I want to say 7 with the budget that we have. seven
yeah,
feet is
yeah,
quite
yeah,
generous, and the circumference of that, to really make it noticeable, I think it can
yeah.
be if we make it 36 inches. We don't have to worry about any wind or anything or a nest being made. I think that that would give me the right size. The sculpture would be a little bit larger than life size, and I think that that'd be pretty fair, to do something like that.
Okay. And with what you just described, is there a way that you can draft something like that to send?
Yeah, I can do that today.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
because
And that way I can,
go ahead, Alpha.
no, and that way I can, it'll be better for me to get that sooner than later, because
Mm-hmm.
asked if I could get it, and I said by the end of the week, I could get him the draft, because we need to present our overall proposal for next year on the 24th of March.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah, the 24th of
Bill and
March.
I got to get our stuff together with that too, so we can get that budget in for what Mr. Sawyer was asking as well.
Mhm.
That looks great. So that kind of looks like a winner. What do you think, Alpha?
I think so, and especially if you're gonna come out here, I could see that as like a couple of days where that's a workshop, you know, a participatory workshop, for that community engagement piece, of other
Okay.
artists that
And
want,
would that be for the installation?
yes.
Okay. All right.
And then,
And
a timeline, for you, would it be a fall installation? That would be fall of 2026, October, or would it be a spring installation of 2027 of April?
I mean, I can finish this as soon as I get, it only takes me with doing a piece like this, especially in concrete, the best thing about this is that it can be done very quickly. With granite and bronze, I have to, even once I finish the piece, I still have to have the foundry created, which takes them 3 to 4 months. Also, the granite can take about a month to create, and then the installers, that's roughly about a 6 to 8 month turnaround. But with doing concrete, this can be done within this whole sculpture can be done with doing the pour if it's um collaborated with the concrete team with the
Public
Public
Works.
Works, uh-huh.
yeah with them, then this can be done within a month.
Oh, so then we omitting the look of the, what did we say, the marble?
Well, I will put that in the rendering. It would be granite because
I mean, granite, yes.
marble shouldn't, I don't feel marble should go, marble is more of an interior
Yeah,
design because of it's a little bit more porous than granite.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so if it was outside, it would have to be, I would say, a black granite. I'm not sure of the price. I would have to get a quote on the price for milling a column like that. But I'm very sure that it would cost around $10,000 just for the base. So
Okay. Well, give us your best shot and see what they decide.
okay,
Because even I think the granite would look nice as well.
okay.
And what
I
we
will definitely
probably
do a granite and bronze.
and
And we're looking for doing a sculpture of a child, correct? Right?
well, I don't know if we want to say a child or do we want to say two children or do we want to say a family? Is that more? And and
Or
and
I think if we looked at one, we looked at when we started the conversation, we really liked the little boy, but then you talked about the appendages or something that could easily
right.
be, cut off or broken or whatever. But if it's
Mhm.
concrete, you know, let's let him just come up with the design concept and give us, you know,
Yeah,
his
give us
estimates and projections
yeah,
of what cost is going to be, and then get into the nitty gritty of the work once,
yeah, I
but
agree.
I know they're not going to pay $10,000 for a granite, you know, pedestal when the money would go more into the, all of it is a sculpture as far as I'm concerned, because you're building your pedestal to
Mhm.
accent the sculpture. And then you showed
Mhm.
us where you could entwine them in both and then put that concrete. I'm looking at the concrete from the ground up. Now you're looking at the concrete placed on a pedestal that's in granite.
Mhm.
Which way we're gonna go?
Well, I thought about it since you did mention that, which I had thought before. We could probably take some of that electricity from that corner and at night spotlight that uh, that artwork. So if it's done with concrete, and let's say white concrete, light concrete, whatever is decided, it would glow. It would show even at night, just
Okay.
like the signage would
So
do.
there'll be, will there be lights that'll be on the sculpture then at night?
It won't be on it because we'll be tapping into our electric company, which is how we got our signage on that corner done. So it's a matter of being able to have extended wiring to the site where you will have your piece done, and if we can get lighting to reflect upon that during the night.
Okay. That sounds great to me.
Yeah, because it was it was one of the pieces that we saw of yours, and they had that. Of course, it may not have been that tall and so forth, but that was my thought. We don't want it hidden off in the dark at night because it's dark over in that area at night. So,
Okay.
yeah, if we could have that, that also will say who we are, and I
Yes,
like
ma'am.
the thought of that kid on the top or something.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm gonna do my best to create the best rendering I can, and I
Okay.
really look forward to working with both of you.
Okay, great. We
Okay,
look forward
great.
to you as well.
Okay, I really like Chicago pizza, so let's keep that in mind.
Okay, that's good. Just let us know when you're coming to Chicago as well. And even let me know, and we all would get together so that you
Okay,
can view what we're talking about. I know it's difficult not to view, but since you said you have your son here, that would be great when you come visit. And again, that's April the 25th when we're having our Arbor Day, Earth Day uh, unveiling of those other pieces. That might be a good time for you to come too, if you are not planning on coming
and
sooner.
that would be in September, right?
No, that'll be April 25th.
April
That's April
25th.
25th. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And that way you can see what we're talking about. You can be familiarized with the open lands, and then you're also will be there for the other installations too.
Okay. I will definitely look into if I'm able to come during that
Yeah,
time. Thank you.
yeah, that's good. All right,
All right.
so
All
much.
right.
Sure.
Thank you both so much. It's so nice to meet you.
You also, and I'm excited and looking forward to this.
Yes, ma'am. Have a great rest of your day. Yes.
And you all too. Thank
All
you,
right.
Thank
Alf.
you. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Alpha.
All right.
Thanks, Austin.
All right.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
So at some point, Marilyn, I wanted to, I know it's after 3 right now, is meet with you and go over some ideas for, Arbor Day. And
Okay.
for me to make I'll take the information, I guess, once you forwarded me
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
forward me the, Carl's agenda and stuff. But I only
Okay.
put on there, like, since we're doing a lot of community engagement over, what was in the scope of services.
Mm-hmm.
So this time around, that's all, I didn't put the budget up. So I don't know what the conversation is around the budget. I'm just gonna submit what I have, what, that we agree upon. I told, Mr. Sawyer that I would give him something by the end of the week with the actual language of the, um, services that we're gonna do.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I had a meeting with Mr. Sawyer because we needed to get some understanding of budgeting, period.
Mm-hmm.
And he explained a lot to me that I did not know. Good, because this is the first time we're being budgeted,
Okay.
any of the commissioners. And he did let me know, and he reminded me that the open lands beautification has been budgeted the most because of you all coming and doing the artwork. So that kind of I won't say shut me down, but that helped me to understand um that we have been favored, which I knew we were, with you all coming to help us. So help us in what our vision was.
Mm-hmm.
So for the 25th, Carl did let me know that they have taken those cans and they have spray painted them and has also made the tabletops for them. He didn't show me exactly what, but I know they'll look nice out there. Let me see. I'm trying to get back
He
on.
he's he did what? He went out
He
there.
he my Jack, the big company that's out here, had some trash cans that they were going to toss out. And I don't know how it came about, but Carl set it up where he would take them and we would paint them and use them. I suggested use them to make tables with instead of those high boys when we
Okay.
want to uh, feature your project on in April. We will
Right.
have that lawn area. High boys probably would not work well there. So with
Okay.
him doing that, painting them a bright orange, and we talked about maybe having eventually some artwork on those cans. At least we have gotten started with what we will place out in that area, excuse me, which will be near your installation. Um, as far as carols, we can have something over there as well, but it's understandably and clear that we cannot cross over that creek without either going back on Holmes to do that or all the way up to Kedzie to cross over.
Okay.
Which I think it doesn't have to be a bad idea because at that time, they will also, those that come will also get a chance to see and tour some of the open lands that they had maybe never toured before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe we'll have, it would be beautiful if it's nice. I have seen it, the weather really turn hot on some of those dates. And we can have floral arrangements out there, flower pots or whatever to make it look festive.
So I'm looking at this right now. This is the only I only have a proposal from Christine
Okay.
so far in writing. I have Harry Gentry here. He's an artist that I'm bringing in because he's helping me with my chair installation,
Right. Okay.
assisting me with that. Him and Peter are both assisting me with that, doing the fabrication and stuff. I'm just painting the panel. That's where I said most of that money went to cover those costs. Um,
Okay.
but I got billed at the 5,000 he asked for plant installation. Now, is he in the other budget or in this budget with the
Well,
site installation? But I put him here.
I think that would be good for him to be there because I don't think they're going to do any extra.
Okay, so then Harry, I got a to be determined wood, stone, or sculpture, and that his proposal is still coming in because he was looking at a huge wooden butterfly that would be attached to one of the trees and support it like that. So it wouldn't cost us with that foundational piece, like that.
Okay.
And this other proposed, I put to be determined, but we just talked to him. So I'll add him in right here, Austin. I'll add him in, and then the amount that bill, I guess the maximum, we're only talking about 9,010 at the most. And then
Okay.
I put to be determined the acquisition, delivery, and installation for the sculpture from Gallery Guichard, if that's
Okay.
still on the table. And it was that I left it at 9,000, which Bill settled on that cost. And then
Uh, okay.
the truck rental and all that is usually, you know, that's been a quote that Peter used from his studio over, in mileage, just a concrete base for two sculptures, 1750. And then that's where I got that 2,500 from.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
for that would be for Austin and then the acquisition sculptures. And there's another
Okay.
170 sculptures that are going to be delivered. They're going through some challenges with that tariff stuff,
Yeah.
or that shipping crate would be here by now. So there's other
Okay.
sculptures. You can look at what you came and looked at what we have, but there's
Okay.
170 more coming that you may want to choose from. You know what I mean? And there's various
Okay.
price points on those. And then, with the Mandela Build, the Moonlight Social, and the Oaks and Folks Gala, I looked at the cost for those and the hours, to be. So I came up with the 4,000, and this would be a budget under community engagement activities. You know,
Okay.
you would work with. This would be the money that you, Marilyn, would be in charge of with the community engagement. It would be that 4,000. Now, I have a
Oh,
lot of stuff that's inventory here from the gala that you probably need to pick up if you want to store it in your garage, instead of storing it here in my space, that you can use. I know Arbor Day is a couple months away, but the sooner you pick up the stuff, the better, because you can look at the inventory and look at what you don't need to be getting for all this other stuff.
okay.
Okay, like that. But I just put that here. I did talk with Perlene, you know, and she, is a resident out there, artist. And for Arbor Day, she said that she could come and do a painting workshop for 10 to 12-year-olds.
Now this is
Targeted
on
at
Arbor Day
uh-huh
in the
and
morning.
in
Let's
the
see,
morning.
because we have on Arbor Day, we have, and I sent the schedule, the agenda to your text. just not long ago. So Arbor Day, we normally start in the morning.
Uh-huh. What
And
time?
we normally have started around 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Maybe we can shift it to 9:30. Well, no, because then we have the two installations going on. So do we want to do an art class
I
in the
think that I was thinking several things could be going on. Like several different, because we talked about healing arts. I'm gonna finish.
okay.
I'm finished with this so I can take it down. So right now, two proposed sculptures, we're at 10,700. Because Bill gave me an operative budget of 50,000,
Okay.
and so right now we're at the 39, 1,230 without adding on the two sculptures because we're just now getting their bids to come in. And the
Okay.
highest thing on here is Bill's is Christine Perry. She signed a contract with us to November of 2026, giving her room to be able to build that bench element.
Okay.
And so she's the only, again, person I got anything from. I don't have anything from Bill yet, but he's working on it. And I'm not going to do anything else but project manage. And I left the consulting thing the same. I know
All right.
we would exceeded the 40 hours, but evidently that will be in kind from us and money we need to raise if we want to, you know what I mean? Like Mr. Sawyer said, we need to start trying to help raise money. And that's what I was doing initially. We didn't get any of the grants, but initially I was raising money to help get this project going. So he's going back to that. Can you guys help raise money to get the kind of work you want to see done out here in a true partnership, right? So this is where we are. We have these two artists in the phase here that I would plug their dollars in here. This one just went up to 9,000. So I don't know. I'll add on the other artist when he gives me his bid. But I told him like, things are going under 9,000 and 4,000 is the maximum. I showed him
Okay.
Christine's project was at that, basically at that $43,000 mark. So we got to work out. And now we know what his bid is, and that's going to put us over. But these are the four projects right here with community engagement that I thought that we would kind of stick to: April, June, August, and October. And the biggest of this is
Okay.
October, and we know the expenditure was this amount. And with the
Okay.
healing circles, and I know you start at 9, but we have to, put a schedule together for the day. And I'm looking at April 8. All this stuff is going on because I put it in the PowerPoint, of things that we're doing in the spring. And so either with the Mandela build, you're going to put that with the open lands tour, which that'll be more toward the open lands tour. Wasn't that in November? Or that was
Uh,
the tour of the plants?
we did the when did we do that Mandela build? Yeah, we
Oh, that
did
was
that.
November 5th or
We
something
did
like that.
that in August. We did that in August with the Moonlight Social.
Right. But it says an open lands tour.
Let me look at that. The open lands. Oh, are you looking at last year?
I'm looking at what you just sent me in a text message. August 1st, Hazel Parade, Mandela Build and Open Tour. And then you jump down to Moonlight Social, August 28th. But you didn't give a date for the Mandela Build. Is it part of Hazel Crest Parade Festival?
We hadn't decided when we would do it yet. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see where that I'm
I
multitasking
have
now.
it in August. I left it in August. I put it in June because I was thinking, the Papa Mama, what is that, in June that you guys did?
I don't know if we even going to do a Pachamama.
Well, that's why I put this in June
Okay,
because,
that that
I
could
felt that
go
would be a
in.
better combination of things with instead of having the one shaman there. Why are we
Yeah.
not doing something else that people can, understand?
Well, I agree with that. And I said we would talk about it. It's just kind of down there again with no date. Oh,
Okay.
he has Mandela Build an open lands tour.
So that's why I said, is it August 1st or what?
I think we had suggested June. Unfortunately, we didn't come to any concrete anything that
Okay.
day because uh no one barely showed up for the meeting, so we didn't have a forum. But
Okay.
what had happened that day is when Mr. Sawyer came because he wanted to have a discussion about an ordinance. So we talked mainly about that. So we didn't make any decisions about this agenda.
He got
But
us up here somewhere with the planting party, Mandela Bill, Cook,
I
Mandela
know
Bill, art
I
and
put Cook there because that planting party in May that he has down here is similar to what we did when you and Bill came out in 2024.
right.
And I wrote down on there, I just put Mandela Bill. I didn't put it in the right place. I wrote that down because I didn't want to forget we're going to do a Mandela Bill. Uh, and then I put cooking next to the planting party because that's what we will be doing again uh is out there on that grill because he said about 50 trees. Carl said.
Okay,
So
so you're going to be planting 50 trees on Arbor
May
Day
2nd. On May 2nd.
on May 2nd. And then the Moonlight Social, you move down to August 28th because that's when the full moon is, right?
Yes, and I hope that's a Saturday. You know, he wanted it on a Friday that time. I said Friday is not a good day, and plus we still would have that full moon the next day. So uh yeah. And this is subject to be tweaked, but we do have it on paper.
Okay.
We didn't get to
And
vote on
then
anything.
and
Uh-huh.
you kept the Oaks and Folks Gala. I know he was like, I don't want to say gala no more. Like, come on.
Well, yeah, I talked about that.
Come on. Now that it's
That
working for
gala.
you. And that's a fun, now that can be a fundraiser.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna have a fundraiser. Got to. Because outside of this art, we're not getting any more money, basically. So
So we
Dante
can say
said,
donation. Let's see it. And then we can start looking at companies around Hazel Crest and neighboring that could be sponsors or something. I don't know. We could find sponsors instead of us charging all that money that we had to spend for food and all that stuff. Let's see. All right, that's
right.
another topic and another day. But for Arbor Day, Perlene said she could work with up to, I think she said 12 youth to get youth engagement, and they paint floral because that'll go with Bill's installation. And then looking at people to do the healing arts with soundscape. So planning music. I know you're doing the bulk of everything at 9, but if we got started like 11 with the art part, we're looking at trying to get people out there and what's going to go on the flyers, like for Art in the Woods. I said Perlene because she's one artist that you guys are saying get more people from the community to come. And I had a good talk with her, and she's been wanting to volunteer. Well, she mentioned she would, Alpha, let me know what you want, and so I called her and asked her, what does she want to do? How she can help us that day for the dedication. We don't have money. She said she would charge
Okay.
$300. Look, $300 to do
Uh-huh.
like a breakout session. Like I went to this healing circle that my neighbor, like Binky does, and he's going to do it again on this Friday. And he was one of the artists that did get funding from Healing Arts. We didn't get the grant, but he's one person that's already doing the work, and they brought him in. So when I went, I saw yoga happening, sound bowls happening. There were art activities set around for people to be engaged in. Music, of course. There were vendors that were there. And you
Okay.
were talking about bringing in like the nurses so they can have a table to talk about health
Now, what day is
or
this for
Arbor
the
Day.
well for Arbor Day?
For healing and combine the healing arts with Arbor Day. So if you guys are out there at 9 a.m.
9 a.m. is when we normally do the tree planting and our
Mhm.
Arbor Day ceremony. Okay, so when would it be scheduled for Carol to do her presentation and you to do yours?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So we're talking about it
And
right now. And so from 9 to what, noon, that you're going to be doing your the tree planting. I know you said till 11.
well, normally it's not really that long to do the
Okay.
Arbor Day ceremony and tree planting. It's only been about within an hour if we stick to one tree. Uh, in the past, we have had multiple trees and more trees, and we just would end up, in most cases, making it a work day. But if we're adding to that now, March
Mhm.
is here. So if we're putting on a whole big agenda for that day, it almost seems like we should have gotten started in February with that. I, to
Well, I've been
contact,
trying to have the conversation and reaching out, you know, um, to different people to see what we can bring in for that day.
well,
I don't think it doesn't have to have a lot of extra, but if it's contained to, I know the last conversation we had, Carol was like, I don't really see myself being inside, but I had said, well, if we could reserve just in case, um, the community room over there in case it rains. I don't know what the forecast is going to be for April and Farmers Almanac or nothing, but have a different little vignettes where people could explore, they could participate. Now you got, if you get, she said, how many kids? Ages 10 to 12, like fifth graders, seventh graders, because you said maybe we need to target a younger, you know,
yeah,
group.
getting at the
And
trying
then
to reach
she
the younger.
provides, she would put everything that whoever we invite to help do this, they have to be self-contained. She said Bill will be doing the digital photography. Um, if she does the breakout session with, she has all the aprons, paint brushes, easels, you know, and it could be like a contest, who's doing the best one or whatever. Bill was talking about with his digital photography that he can print out and do an exhibition of the work for people that attend his session. Um,
Okay.
and then I have the canvases for Pearline to do hers, to have that element. And then there's another person that does sound that I haven't talked to yet, but my daughter Jasmine was telling me that, oh, so and so that came to the healing arts, that's something that she does. So I wanted to talk to you first before I opened up another conversation about who to bring out. And then we also have your volunteers that come out, and they are gardeners in their own right, and projects that they're doing beyond open lands. Like the lady I gave a ride home. There's little breakout sessions that could happen. And then I mentioned the healing arts and bringing the nurses, out that day, or some kind of add on that kind of wellness thing.
Now, are we still talking about? I'm in my car. Don't have, excuse me, don't have that sheet that I had with me. But are we talking about for Arbor Day? All this for Arbor Day?
Yeah. Or we can break it up for other
Yeah.
days.
Excuse me.
But for Arbor Day, we're saying we have the dedication, but
Yeah.
what happens after the dedication? I don't think our dedication is going to be anything like Oaks and Folks, but it can be a
You don't
celebration,
think
but we
so?
have other content there.
Well, I really had thought, since we are on the subject about breakout sessions and all of that,
Mhm.
April still has a tendency to be not the best weather in my
Right.
mind. Somehow when we talked about Arbor Day, I said, boy, Arbor Day used to always turn pretty warm. Somehow I'm thinking May. But if Arbor Day is in April and that's what it always has been, then that's what we have always celebrated. But I would like to space it out because there are other days when the weather should be a little better. Uh,
Okay.
when we're talking about the nurses and the breakout session, by that time, Carol's chimes will be up, your chair will be installed, and that would be something that they could see, and it would be like a tour as well. That's when we could have the kids to come and do the coloring contest. That's also enough time for me to see if the senior room would be available or to put our bid in for that, to do something there, or if the weather is not feasible, we could go inside. I don't have my paper with me, but what does June have? Did we have anything down at all for June?
You don't. You skip totally over
Okay,
June. You have April 25th, Arbor Day, art unveiling, May 2nd, planting party.
okay.
And then that little comment you made about Mandela. So I think that would be going down into June, but nothing's for June at all. July 25th, summer tour. August 1st, Hazelnut Parade. So we're getting into, oh, you did have Moonlight, Mandela Build and Open Lands Tour. And that
Okay, so that
is August.
June sounds good to have a Mandela bill, to
Okay.
have, um, because by that time we would have had some plants to have grown, uh, buds on trees and so forth. So that June should be good for that. And we could also have the maybe that would be good to have the nurses to come out, nurse walk or the wellness walk that Carl had down on that paper without a particular date. A wellness walk. We could also have the activity with the children where they would, um, as you mentioned about the other artists, he could do that. We could fill June in with all of that. Maybe that one day, or one day or several times.
Okay.
Excuse
So like for Arbor Day, I was looking again as for content, and I know that you know how fast the dedication went. By the time we went over there, it was over with, and then the food go home. You know what I mean? So I
me.
was looking.
We stayed. Well, what I loved about it, we stayed on point with Arbor Day.
Yeah.
In this case, because both of your installations are not too nearing to each other, there's some walking that's going to be involved or something that's going to be involved. I don't know if, how did Carl do that? But we stayed on that one side. Um, and that's what has to be planned out, how to get from one installation to the other, how we would how would we do the celebrations with the music and the food and so forth. Somehow I see that as on the same time frame as what we had when we had the gala.
Yeah.
And I think that was what, 3 hours?
Yes. I mean, we
So
were out there more than 3 hours, but I'm going, it
well,
was
yeah, and as a matter of fact, it
from
is going to be more than
10:30.
3 hours because we have the tree planting to do
Yeah,
with the
10:30
Arbor Day.
to 10:30, 10 to 2 is
Yeah.
how long we were out there, and everything unwound at 1:30, and then we were out of there, um, you know, at 2. People
Mhm.
meandered and whatever like that. I was just
Right.
looking at, I did talk to Perlene and to get, she doesn't do big work anymore, but to get more of folks that are from there engaged in what we're doing. That's why I had her down. And if we
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
and she would be echoing Bill's work with hands-on creating of florals in her style. And if you know anything about Perlene, her work is really hot. I think I showed you some of her work here at the gallery. She's not even painting anymore. She said, I'm not even painting anymore. She's in her 80s. She goes like, I'm not painting anything anymore. I gave up my studio. I'm at home and she works in
Okay.
her studio. But I just
Okay.
really would like her to come out and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
she's self-contained, bringing everything, except I have the
Yeah.
canvas for her. And that would echo, and Bill is talking about like putting on a display, and that would give us
Is he
time to
talking
look.
about that day, putting on a display?
An installation, it would be an installation more than a display, but an
Okay.
installation on easels. Perlene brings her own easels and all of that, to
Okay.
have that going on. I'm looking at making sure that there's an activity of art in the woods, a hands-on kind of activity this time around. Then we have the social, so with people doing the walk and everything, and then like the Moonlight Social, Tara tried to have the kids color, which Carol felt took away from the Mandela because she really needed all hands.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I know I went to the Healing Circle and they had randomly put color books, crayons, and stuff, pages where people could just, if do whatever. They don't have to be focused on when's the program, when is it gonna stop.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
I see that. I get that.
And I
That
felt
sounds.
like, like when we talk about the healing arts, I think June with the Mandela Bill will be again where maybe, people with yoga or bringing out the sound element. I know we want to look at the celebration of the dedication.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
Jasmine does have that bar.
Yeah.
She's thinking
Yeah.
about doing something over here the day after, but making sure we just have hospitality and then that
Yeah.
activity going on. I like the way Carl set up those tables that when I tried to do the painting the wood and leaves and stuff. I like the
Yeah.
way Carl brought those tables out. So if those
Yeah.
tables need
Yeah.
furnish, if it's a great day for outdoors, but I think
Yeah.
we can lock in that senior center over there just in case.
And what day are we looking at on that? Are we saying June or are we still talking Arbor Day?
Arbor Day.
Okay. Okay. So I'm trying to remember this all in my head. So
Okay.
so when we finally get off of this pop-up, I may need you to send me what we talked about, senior day,
Okay.
senior facility for that day ahead of time,
Yeah,
because
because
I
we
know
need a
that,
place to stage if we're talking about doing hospitality again. You know what I mean? And we don't have a hospitality budget this time around. Um,
right,
because we
right,
tried to put everything into the Oaks and folks to make it successful, so we don't have that. So that means that there's a lot of out of pocket, again, a lot of out of pocket cost that's gonna happen.
right. Yeah,
Um, but yeah. So we have to start thinking about the
we do.
hospitality part, and if we're gonna, the luncheon part, but we can't have it. Mm, And do something special for your committee people. You do every year anyway, right? You do that in December. But they
Yeah,
came out there and they said they didn't know nothing about anything, that it was only going on. They just showed up for a work day.
well, those were volunteers.
Mhm.
The only committee person was Tara, and Marsha came out. That was it. Uh, Tyrese came out later that day. He was the one that was putting on the t-shirt as we were taking that picture by Christine's installation. So he wasn't there to do much of any help. Tara, you saw what she did.
Right.
Had coffee on my clothing. So there wasn't many out there. Greg, he talks a lot, so he was. You have to tell him
You
what.
could put Greg in charge of that data collection, or be over there and getting people signed in. And can he handle that?
I would hope he could,
I feel like it.
and I say that because Carl will probably call him to come and do something.
Well,
By
if we
him.
gotta give them assignments, I think it really, you can see in my report, it's crucial to talk about impact.
It,
And you
it
don't have
is.
the
It is.
numbers and all that kind of stuff. And if that's what he does, you know, and I know he said, you pay me and all this, but I think if we set him at, because I know, what did he do? When I was setting up those infograms that, I asked him to go put it on the easel, or could he take the easel and put it over there? And he goes, I got this degree of bachelor's and blah, 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 blah. And this is what I'm reduced to is putting an easel up. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
his sidebar, it's not sidebar, but when he does stuff like that, I was like, well, I got a master's too, and I'm out here in this dirt and doing what I'm doing. It doesn't diminish what I'm doing, because I asked you to go over there and put that in, and Mr. Sawyer told him some. But I'm gonna